It's just like bad city, bad. And they say begin. And they're kind of like dramatic with this stuff. Like there's like a little timer going. There's like Beethoven playing in the background. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are staying indoors. We are minding our own business because Mercury is in retrograde. Respect the retrograde. Embrace the retrograde. Don't go out and do anything stupid during the... Anyways, today I'm here with my cozy little Plaque is Whack t-shirt. No one like paid me to wear this. It's just because I'm lazy and I like this t-shirt. Today I'm here to share with you guys a fun little series of short stories that I like to call 5 times that dental school made me cry. Because frankly, I don't think we talk enough about how stressful dental school is. Disclaimer, in no way am I bashing my own dental school. I think this is just dental school in general. Dental schools everywhere, dental students everywhere have this same problem. And so this video is just for anyone out there right now that is feeling alone, feeling stressed, anxious, scared, defeated, burned out. Need I go on? Basically, just trust me, no matter how much social media can make it seem, everyone out here has cried because of dental school before. I promise you, everyone has cried because of dental school before. Even you, Chad. So I thought this would just be a fun way for us to all bond together and for me to give you guys some good dental school advice. Before we get started, I just wanted to give a shout out to our awesome friend of the week. This week, I am shouting out the lovely Sofa Pinda. Am I saying this correctly? She is just always so supportive and she's so loving on all my videos. Always leaving like the kindest comments that really make my day. So I just wanted to say thank you so much to Sofa Pinda for taking the time. If you want to be featured in my next video, just subscribe and comment down below, and yeah, I'll give you a shout out. If you're new here, my name is Connie. I'm a pharmacist that graduated from pharmacy school in 2019, and now I'm a third-year dental student at Tufts in Boston. If you're curious why I made the switch from pharmacy to dentistry, watch the video that I have linked down below. I make videos and vlogs all about dental school life, tips for when you're in dental school, tips for how to get into dental school, stories about me wanting to get out of dental school apparently. Yeah, if you're interested in that content, please subscribe down below. Without further ado, let's expose myself. For any classmates watching this, please just don't judge me, okay? I just cry a lot. First up, wax ups. It was the first month of school. Yes, apparently this started the first month of school. It was the first month of school and this was our first ever like hands-on assessment. It's pretty straightforward. Wax ups, you make a wax out of tooth. Wait, you make a tooth out of wax. God. So I went into this workshop feeling excited, right? Because like dental school hadn't crushed me really yet, so I was like, oh, this will be fun, you know, like this will be good. This will be me like working with my hands, like I always said I would love to do on my interviews, which I do, by the way. But again, I hadn't been hit by the reality of dental school yet. I was just happy to be there, okay? So we start working on our wax ups, right? I'm enjoying it, sculpting my little tooth. I'm chatting with the guy next to me, the other person next to me. And then this instructor comes by, he takes a look at the person next to me, to my left, and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I think this person was like a lab technician in their past. Someone else comes to look at the person next to me on the other side, and they're like, oh my God, like, were you an assistant? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, these two are crushing it right now. So then I call over and the instructor comes to take a look at mine, and they're just like, the first thing they do is look at it and then they deep sigh. That's never a good thing. He's just like, well, you have to fix this and this and this. Gives me like a laundry list of things to fix, and I'm like, okay, apparently mine like wasn't as good as theirs, but I mean it can't be that bad, right? And then my brain goes, but what if it is? I'm just like a little shook at this point. And I think in the beginning of dental school when I first started, I just had imposter syndrome hardcore. Basically from there, my brain goes, what if everyone else is so much better than you? You're just little old Connie from Rhode Island. You don't come from like a long family line of dentists. You didn't come out of the womb knowing that you wanted to be a dentist. So basically I just start feeling really insecure about my work. Somehow the time flies by and there's only 10 minutes left. And I'm starting to realize like, this is something that's failable. Like as I'm hearing my classmates talk about it and I look at the rubric, I realize like, oh, there's like XYZ things that you need to do. And like, I kind of wasn't going into this thinking about failing, but then all of a sudden my brain jumps and then I'm like, oh my God, like what if I failed it? Anyways, I pull together enough just to submit something. And then I go home and then I cry for like an hour. I just felt like there was no way that mine would pass because everybody else left that workshop being like, oh my God, mine was so good. This instructor said this, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's on cloud 9 acting like they're Michelangelo right now. And then so I'm like, oh, did anybody think that they failed it? No? And so I guess like no one else around me really felt that way, so that just made me feel even more insecure. Lo and behold, I get my grade back the next week, and turns out I actually did pretty good. See, I don't even remember at this point, that's how like insignificant it was, but I just remember getting my grade back and being like, what? And so that taught me two things that day. One, you cannot compare yourself to anyone else, because mentally psyching yourself out can do more harm than you actually like doing bad on something or making a mistake. And two, a bitch had no idea what they were looking for apparently, because I thought mine was trash and they thought it was fine. So this just shows a very important tip in dental school, which is that you have to know what instructors are looking for, right? I was like shaving off certain cuts. I was going hardcore, just trying to make sure that, you know, like something looked a certain way, when really the faculty probably weren't even looking at that, and they were just trying to see if it was like smooth and shiny. Dentists are very simple people, okay? We just like smooth and shiny. So had I been smarter, I would have looked at the rubric in the first place. I would have asked some upperclassmen friends. I would have asked some faculty, you know, like what is it specifically that you're looking for? What are mistakes that are 100% failable? All right, now fast forward a month or two later, the time that dental school made me cry number 2 is actually like kind of a sort of legitimate-ish reason. Basically, I kind of failed my first competency, and so this is what happened. A week before our real competency, we had something called a mock competency, right? Where they like simulated the competency, you do the same exact thing on it, and you get like a fake grade. So I actually like did really well in the mock competency. I think it's because I didn't really feel the pressure, because I knew it was a mock and I knew that the grade didn't really matter. So like, if only I could just channel that energy every single time. Then comes the day of my actual competency, right? And I'm feeling a little off. I think in hindsight what happened was that since I did so well in the mock, I was kind of just like, oh, I got it in the bag. I like didn't even like realize how wrong competencies can go. And also, by the way, in a competency, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Take it from me. I know there's some blessed people where they do the best they've ever done before on a competency, but that's just not me. So little me didn't really take the mock that seriously, didn't really practice in between the mock and the real competency. So I roll up, I'm feeling a little nervous. I can just feel in the air that it's like the real deal. Like I can feel the stress from everyone around me. And they say, begin. And they're kind of like dramatic with this stuff. Like there's like a little timer going. There's like Beethoven playing in the background. It feels like you're basically on an episode of the cooking show Chopped, where you know, you only have like 30 minutes to make your appetizer round. Except instead it's like you have like an hour and a half or 2 hours to do a prep, which in real life like would never happen. And the first thing that you have to do in a competency once they press begin is you have to put on the rubber dam. For those of you guys that don't know what a rubber dam is, I can insert a picture here. It's basically this thing that keeps the area isolated. And so up until this point, maybe it's because I didn't practice enough, but I had never had any issues with my dam so far. But these things are notoriously tricky to put on because like they can rip, they're kind of like hard to handle and awkward when you're first starting out. But like I said, I never had problems with my dam before. So like this wasn't even a thought in my head of something that could happen until it did. So guess what? Yeah, my first dam that I put on, it rips. I'm like, okay, this is new. So then I run and grab a second dam, right? And at this point, everybody else has finished putting on their first dam. They're like setting up and everything. So I'm like running, trying to get my second dam on. Guess what? Second dam breaks again. I don't know like what was cursed in the air this day. Second dam rips in half again dramatically. And at this point I'm stressing because I can hear the people around me starting to drill on their tooth. And again, it's me comparing myself to the people around me. So I start freaking out, grab a third dam. At this point my arms are like shaking as I'm putting it on, and I just like hastily put it on, right? Bookmark that little moment for later. Now, for some reason I am so shaken from this traumatic experience. I'm like laughing now because like honestly in hindsight that really wasn't that big a deal. Like who cares if it takes 10 dams, just get the dam on. But I was just so shook, right? Because I had never had an issue with my dam before. That when it comes time to actually drill now, I'm just like scared shitless, and I'm too scared to actually like drill deep enough. And I keep making these like minor mistakes now. Like my head is all just messed up. I like accidentally made this tiny mistake and I was like, oh my god, they're gonna take so many points off for this. I make another mistake and I'm like, oh my god, are they gonna fail me for that? It's just like bad, like bad city, bad. Next thing I know, there's only 10 minutes left. My prep is super shallow at this point, and I know that I should be going deeper. I know it. Like there's like a disconnect between my mind and my body, and I'm freaking out, and like I literally like cannot physically like make myself drill more because I'm so scared of making more mistakes. So then timer goes off. We have to leave the room to get graded, and honestly at this point like my gut wasn't feeling good. Like I knew that that was not our best performance, but in my head I was like, hey, maybe it'll be like the wax ups. Maybe it's like that time where you thought you failed and you actually did well. I don't know. So anyways, I go back into the room after they're done grading and I flip over the page, and then there I see a big fat F. F for fail. Like not even Asian fail, like real person fail. And so I'm freaking out on the inside because I mean, this is my first competency, first of all. So I'm like, does this mean like I really can't be a dentist? And then meanwhile, everyone around me is so excited that they passed. So I think I was just overly confident from the mock that the thought of failing this didn't even cross my mind. And what happened was the prep itself wasn't the worst. It would have passed had I had the full point from the rubber dam category. But remember what I said a couple of minutes ago? Replay it. So I so hastily put it on that between the last two back teeth, I had to floss down the rubber dam. And because I was in such a rush, I must have not fully flossed it down. Anyway, so I got half a point off on the dam for that, and because of that, I had failed by half a point. Now, if you're wondering what happened after that, basically it ended up working out because I had another faculty opinion take a look at it, and when they looked at the prep again, they deemed that it was actually good enough to pass and basically like counteract any sort of deficit that my dam had. So I ended up passing once they re-looked at everything the next week, and I didn't have to like remediate or anything. I just like felt like I had narrowly escaped death. But the time in between me finding out that I actually passed and me thinking that I failed, I literally like cried so much. Anyways, the takeaway from this is that if you want to do anything in life, you have to learn how to control your mind and just center yourself. Life is stressful and you just have to learn how to anchor yourself. Speaking of sailing related analogies, this just goes to show that smooth seas never made for skilled sailors, because honestly, like if I had had experience with ripped dams and problems with preps in the past, then I wouldn't have been as shook as I was. So yeah, if you're going through a period of time where you keep ripping your dams or keep making mistakes, just think of it this way, as you're just like really breaking yourself in so that someday you're gonna be so experienced that this kind of stuff isn't even gonna make you bat an eye. Time number 3. The 19 MO prep. God, I feel slightly triggered even like saying that phrase. This is also known as dropping the box, because basically what you're doing is, it's as if you're drilling out a caries in between two teeth. So what you're doing is you're creating a little like ledge or a little step in between two teeth. And so this is notoriously one of the hardest competencies because a lot can go wrong. You can accidentally drill too much and just drill straight down through the tooth. You can accidentally hit the tooth next to it. It's just one of the more technically advanced things for when you're first starting drilling. And after my previous experience with competencies the week before that, I was still like scarred and shook basically. Wow, that was 1 week before. I must have just like cried a lot during this period of first year. I just remember being in lab practicing and practicing and practicing, and I felt like it still wasn't good enough. I had like maybe like one okay one, and this was like 2 days before the competency at this point, so I was really stressing out. Anyways, I just remember this one instance where one of my favorite operative faculty came over, and she took a look at my prep, and she was just basically like telling me where to fix again, saying like this wasn't looking that good, and I was getting frustrated with myself and sad. And then so she looked at like my one prep that I did that was okay, and she was like, this is fine, like what are you so upset about? Just do this again, recreate this. And then I just look at her with my loops like all fogged up from my tears, and I'm like, but what if I can't? At this point I'm like ugly crying. This is like in the middle of class, by the way, for operative, so it's like kind of embarrassing. Anyways, I wish I could tell you that I had some magical revelation or like magical secret tool that like helped me with this, but honestly what it came down to was just practicing and practicing and practicing, and every single time you get better. I ended up passing that competency and I was so excited, but a lot of tears went into that. And so the lesson or takeaway from this experience is that sometimes the path to success and getting you what you want isn't glamorous. It's not some juicy hot secret. It's not some like one tool that fixes it all. It's just like the unsexy part of just practicing day in and day out, early mornings, late at night, going on the weekend, putting in the time and the work. And I don't mean to like over glorify hustle culture, because like that's not good either, but honestly it just means kind of putting on your big girl big boy pants and just doing the work even when you don't want to, even when your friends are out having fun, even when your friends are like staying in and relaxing. If you know that, you know, you have to practice extra on something or you have to compensate for something, that's just how life goes. And I promise you that all of this hard work, all of this work behind the scenes, all of the putting in the work when you didn't feel like it and when no one even sees you, all of it is going to pay off. Okay, second to last story. Fast forward now to D2 spring. Progress, we've made it a couple. I mean, I'm not saying that I like didn't cry in between this time. I'm just saying that like it wasn't like a prominent, actually no, yeah, I cry like all the time. Anyways, it's D2 spring, you know, I'm like a calm, cool, big bad D2 now, right? Not calm or cool. But anyway, it's our first month back at school since COVID basically kept us virtual from March of 2020 to December 2020. And the first thing that we have to do for our fixed prost class, which is where you do like crowns and bridges and stuff like that, is taking alginate impression. And for anyone that knows what it is, it's really like not that big of a deal. But y'all already know where I'm going with this, right? Because it's me. So for some reason, I just felt like everyone around me was so much better at it, so much faster at it. They had their bigs helping them with it. It was like the first night in our lab that we had to like learn about doing this. We're all cramped in the back of the room because there's only so many machines that we can use for everything, only so many sinks, only so many resources. I mean, that's just like classic dental school, right? So it's basically this like free-for-all because they're like, okay, now go. And everyone's like rushing to get it done so that they can leave. And it was just like so stressful to me for some reason because I didn't really like know what I was doing, like mixing the alginate and trying to do it, and I kept getting air bubbles, and it was just like kind of a mess. And by this point, I just know myself. I have a trap of, you know, comparing myself to how everybody is doing around me. And I just know that I critique myself so much harder than anyone else because, you know, if someone else would be like, oh, like my thing looks great. And then I'll look at my thing and be like, oh, I have a problem here, 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 here. When in reality, those same people probably have the same problems. It's just they're not fixating on it because it's not a big deal. So anyways, the takeaway from this story is that yes, you have to learn how to trust yourself and believe in yourself, but at the same time, you have to know when you're being your own worst critic, and you have to know when like that voice in your head isn't something that you should listen to. Oh, and of course, you know, the reoccurring theme in my stories is just not to look at those around you. Okay, which brings us to present day, reason number 5. D3 year. I'm so tired. So far, D3 year has been both a lot and not a lot at the same time, if that makes sense. Because yes, now we have way less tests and no more like projects due. So it's not like I'm spending my weekends studying. Usually like on the weekends, I can actually relax and enjoy. But at the same time, it's like when I'm actually in school, now it's like the time is more stressful because now instead of just sitting there drilling and stuff like that, I'm actually like working on a real person and there's like real consequences. And there's so much like background extra stuff that no one really talks about. Like, it's not just seeing a patient, it's scheduling the patient, it's, you know, managing your schedule, it's managing the school schedule, it's like managing all the logistics and the behind the scenes of the appointment, lab work, consults. It really never ends. And so as you can imagine, it's been a bigger transition than I've really expected, and I'm in a place now where I finally feel, you know, like good and more confident in clinic. Watch, just give it a second, something else is gonna happen now. But there was a period of time the first few months when I started that I was just so stressed out. You can ask Jimmy, my boyfriend, I cried to him like all the time about this. Basically, when I started clinic, I just internally felt like I had been dumped into this like rat race and given this list of requirements and been like, okay, here's 2 years, get it all done, hopefully you can graduate on time. This is kind of similar to the stress that I felt about taking my alginate impressions. I think like the overarching theme is that I just get stressed when I feel like I'm dumped into a free-for-all and it's like every man for themselves. And this isn't to like bash the school or anything like that. This is just how dental school is in like all the schools across the country, because like dentistry is something where you have to learn it hands-on. You have to actually like treat the patient and do the things in order to learn, right? I just felt so stressed out about requirements and how many things were ahead of me. I was just worrying like, am I slacking? Like there was a time probably in like high school and early college where I just like really did not have my stuff together. Like I was not prepared. I didn't really do well in school. And so in times of uncertainty, like present day, even though I've grown so much since then, I have like great study skills now. I'm, you know, much more mature and I can handle coursework now. There's always a small part of me that's brought back whenever I'm in times of uncertainty to that stage of my life where I didn't have everything together, and I just feel like I really discredit myself. So I'm like, yeah, remember you were that person before. So like, what's to say like you're not gonna fall behind now? I don't know, I just have this like deep fear in me that like I'm not enough or I'm not doing enough. Maybe some of you guys can relate to feeling that way out there. And so this deep self-doubt, along with the fact that there's no longer like due dates anymore, kind of freaked me out, because basically I just felt overwhelmed from the sudden lack of structure. Because like up until this point, school was kind of like this. It's like you and your classmates all have the same projects, the same due dates, you guys all take the same classes. It's kind of a lot of structure. Whereas in clinic now, it's kind of like there's absolutely no structure. You just like do whatever your roster happens to have for you. But as more time has passed, now I feel more confident with like using our clinic software. I feel more confident in myself and my own abilities. More things are coming up and I'm starting to like diversify the stuff that I do. And so now I feel a lot more confident and comfortable that we'll be okay come graduation time. But yeah, there was definitely a period of time when I first started clinic that I was very overwhelmed. So for any of you guys out there that like are starting clinic or going to start clinic and everyone around you seems to think it's all peaches and sunshine, yeah, I was actually pretty stressed out too. So you're definitely not alone in that. I was a lot more stressed out, a lot more than like I vocalize on social media. And I think a lot of people out there feel a lot more stressed out than they actually say. Like, social media is just 100% a highlight reel. So keep that in mind because we're all just very stressed out right now. Anyways, that was my 5 times that I cried because of dental school. If there is an overarching theme of all of this as I progress through the years of D1, D2, and D3, it's that nothing changes. Life will always be stressful. There's always going to be something to stress about. Even if you don't think there will be, you'll find something. And so that's not meant to scare any of you guys out there. That's actually meant to comfort you and to have you like lean into that, because like, yeah, it's never going to be completely better. It's only I don't know, maybe it might be better once you graduate. But here's the thing, okay? Life is what it is. Life is always going to have stressors pop up. There's always going to be something out there. All you really have through it all is you and what you deem is your reality. One of my favorite quotes is that if you can't learn to be happy with where you are now, you'll never be happy with where you end up. Because the fact of the matter is, it's up to you to create your own happiness. It's up to you to solve your own problems and to stress relieve and all that stuff. So just make the best of where you are planted at the moment. And trust me, give it a year, then you'll be planted in a new moment and have new challenges. Give it another year, you'll be replanted again. And that's kind of just what life is. It's getting replanted and finding yourself over and over and over again. And that's basically the only thing that's consistent in life. So find solace in that. Anyways, that's it for today's video. I'm going to go take a nap or something now. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you like what you saw or you want to see more dental school content, grad student content, all that kind of stuff, please subscribe down below. Comment down below any fun ideas you have similar to this if you want to see more dental school story times, and also comment down below if you want to be featured in my next video. And I'll see you guys next time.